with Trevor Bayne. Trevor, you know, it seems like all young drivers go through a progression where they eventually build confidence. You've got the poles. I mentioned the top 5 finishes. So in your mind, or in the minds of those who work around you, what is it going to take to close the deal out and win a race?
Well, you know, they talked about it on TV a little bit last week, that we got to figure out how to adjust the car as the race goes on. And that's something I knew we had to make changes, but I'm like, man, I don't know what to change. This thing feels pretty good, and I know the track might go away from us, but you know, we're just either going to have to guess at it or stay where we're at, and we ended up staying where we were, and those guys got better. But that's just experience. You know, we've finally broke into that top 5 category, and now we're able to do that every weekend, and you just got to be there. You got to keep yourself in position in the top 5 every weekend until you can break into that win. And I spent some time talking to Kevin Harvick, and he's like, man, once you get that first one and figure out how to do it, they start coming. You know, they just start flowing, just like those top 5s. So, you know, we've got the confidence, like you said. Those guys stayed behind me, and now they're there. They know we can do it. The cars are so much better now. We started building them in-house, and every week Jerry comes up bragging to me about how light the next car is, you know, how good he's got that thing, and those guys are working so hard there. So, you know, I gotta thank them for putting up with those wrecked cars for a little while to get to this point, but now we just got to figure out how to do it at the end of the race.
You mentioned Jerry Baxter, but you've also kind of touched on the fact of your sponsors. I mean, your new sponsor just recently came on, and I think it involves not only other people's animals, but it involved your animal also, at least early on. Top dog of the week or something like that. You got a dog named Biscuit?
Yes, sir, I do. Biscuit was a rescue dog that came into our house and we took in. But actually, you guys don't know this yet, but we got a surprise for you. Your dogs are actually going to be on the deck lid of our car this weekend as part of the Top Dog competition for the week. Every week, the Out Pet Care company, outpetcare.com, you can go on there and register your dog, put a picture on. Actually, any animal can run for that. And look at that. Your all's dogs are on the deck lid of the car this weekend.
I see 3 dogs, and what is that white thing?
That's Wilbur, man.
Oh. Is that yours, Larry?
Don't make fun of Wilbur.
It's actually Brooks' dog, but that's Wilbur.
Oh, okay. If it belongs to Brooke, but it's got Larry's name on it. It's you're the owner.
That's my buddy. They were going to give him away, and I said, you can't get rid of Wilbur. Look at him.
Did you see those real dogs? Did you see Harley?
How do they pick one dog? You've got about 80 of them.
That dog was born the same day as my son. It's actually my son's dog. And it's named after his doctor, which is a man, but his name is Beverly.
Really?
He named the dog Beverly.
I'm confused. How many dogs do you have?
About 55.
There he is.
See, that's Beverly. He was born the same day as my son. He's almost 6 months old, and we named it after the doctor that delivered my son.
That dog right there is a winner.
He's a beautiful dog, I tell you that.
He is.
He's going to be right.
That is very cool.
And Beverly's a man.
Cool.
And Beverly's a man.
Take care of that deck lid.
Yeah. Keep it straight.
I don't want to see that thing all crunched up.
Yeah. Don't hurt Wilbur.
Have all you guys coming after me.
You know, Trevor, you involved someone else with your program here a few races ago, and it seems like that's making a little bit of a difference, too. He's become your driver coach and your spotter. Longtime racer Johnny Benson, and someone told me you actually have a little bit of a nickname for Johnny, I guess.
I called him Bill Nye the Science Guy last week because before the race took off, he's sitting there and he's telling me about, all right, man, before you go into turn 1, look and see which way those flags are blowing. See if you got a tailwind, headwind, see what it's going to do to the car. And I'm like, man.
But he's definitely looks like he's helped make a big difference.
He has. Johnny Benson is a great guy, great coach, and that's what he's there to do. You know, I know he's there to help me, and that makes a big difference when you know the guy's not there trying to take your ride or something like that. He's just there to help, and it's been unbelievable having him. So smart, and he's just an extra eye up on top. We actually still have a different spotter, but he's up there with a spotter, you know, and he calls it out. All right, this guy's moved up to the high line already. Try this out. And he's just there, man, to make me think ahead of myself. You know, he's been there, done that. He can see it from the outside now. He's been inside the car, so he knows what these things are like. He's helping my communication with the team. But just in every aspect, he's been a great mentor so far.
Did you know we have our own science guy here on Trackside?
Bill Nye the Science Guy?
We do?
We
got our own science guy.
He's our science guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Professor McReynolds.
I was trying to see what temperature brake fluid boiled at.
Just something he does in his spare time.
And what does it boil at?
Right at 600 degrees.
Don't that guy talk like wah, 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 wah.
Can you say that one more time?
I got a serious question. What is Out Pet Care exactly?
Anything that comes out of an animal, that's what they deal with. So, you know,
That makes
Wait
me
a minute,
a little uncomfortable.
But they got pooper scoopers, training pads, odor remover, any of that stuff. So There you go.
How many dogs you say you had?
60.
You
That's a lot
might need
of
to talk
products, isn't it?
A lot of products.
That's a lot of products.
That's a lot of outage.
Yeah.
I think you guys could do an infomercial for this place.
We'll have to hook him up.
Yeah.
Best way, I didn't know exactly what it was, so that's the best way to explain it.
That's it. It's a good name for it, right?
Anything that comes out of an animal.
It makes sense.
I think you need to help Hammond.
You know, Trevor, you talked about making the move to the Hooters Series being big for your career. That kind of led to driving for DEI. And in 2008, you drove for DEI. You sat on a couple of poles. And at what's now the K&M Pro Series, you won at Thompson, Connecticut. But right after that season, you won the Toyota All-Star Showdown in Irwindale. You said that probably was the biggest thing that had happened in your career up to that point.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great run. We actually finished second there. We ran really strong there and finished second at the Showdown. But, man, that was a great run for us. We broke a right front spring actually halfway through the race. So it was laying in the spring bucket all mangled. The spoiler was ripped off from that wreck with Ron Hornaday and Brian Eichler at the beginning of the race. And, man, that was a tough race. But we had a great finish there, and that was a strong run for us. And it was kind of it was definitely underfunded because we just took a DEI car, went there with some of our sponsors that we had in the Hooters Pro Cup Series and ran really strong. And it's always great when you can go to those kind of races that aren't points races and run up front.
Trevor, I'm curious. Racing takes so much focus and dedication, particularly at this level. Have you thought about, college? Are you doing any kind of work in that area, or is it all 100% racing right now?
Right now, it's the Diamond Waltrip School of Racing.
I hear you.
It's
hard knocks.
As long as it's not the Michael Waltrip School.
Right.
The University of Michael Waltrip.
No, he's a great one too. I mean, he's really good with all these fans out here. Has a good time with them, and I've got a lot of other mentors in the shop. I've got David Rudiman, Martin Truex Jr., Marcus Ambrose for a little while longer at these road courses and things. And then Michael McDowell, he's not in our camp, but, man, he's been a huge help to me at these road courses, a great guy. But, they all have something different to offer. Martin Truex Jr., he's great at the short tracks. And you got David Rudiman, who just won at Chicago, and then Ambrose, who's really good at these road courses, and Michael Waltrip, the super speedway racer. So got a little bit of everything to take from those guys.
It's good education.
Great education.
You've been mentioning a lot of different Cup drivers' names, and you were talking about Kevin Harvick earlier. And, we have this debate, seems like every week, about the Nationwide Series, whether the Cup drivers should be in it or not. What's your take on that? And kind of, do you like racing against the Cup guys on Saturday?
I love racing against them. I mean, it just makes us a better driver. I think I've said it before. Growing up, I didn't really think, hey, man, I want to win a nationwide race at Loudon or wherever it might be, but I always thought one day I want to be a Cup champion. And I think that's what it takes, is racing against these Cup guys every single weekend that makes you a better driver. Growing up, we never did what they call cripple hunt, go to the easy tracks and race those guys. We always went to that next level to make us better.
We did plenty of it last week at Iowa, that 18 car and Kyle Busch in the beginning of that race.
That was a great battle. And, it's fun racing up front. Those guys race you so clean, and you're racing for the lead. That makes it that much better.
Well, now you talk about how much fun you're having. A little bit different style of qualifying because, again, you sat on the last three poles. But with the European-style qualifying that they use here on the road course in the Nationwide Series, you like that or you don't like that, going out in that pack and laying down a couple laps? I mean, how do you go approach that?
It really depends on what group you get in, and I think we're in a decent group where I can maybe get behind somebody. You're spaced out enough where you don't really see them, but if you catch somebody, sometimes you can gain a little bit more just having that rabbit out there to chase a little bit. So it really just depends on who you're behind.
Just shoot the interloop the first time. And you catch the guy.
Turn those cameras off. We'll be good. There you go.
Hey, you kept talking about Cup stuff. In the future, have you guys talked about maybe running a Cup race here or there, or Cup, testing those cars, anything like that?
I'm actually going to Rockingham Monday to go test a Cup car. I think that'll help with our new car program that's coming up in the Nationwide Series. Those cars are very similar. They're just a handful. I think at Daytona I had to burn on my right arm from wheeling it up on the seat and stuff. So we're definitely working toward that plan. Hopefully run some part-time next year, just a few races to get our feet wet and just see where it goes from there.
You mentioned that new car. You're going to race it next weekend at Michigan for the second time. Looking forward to it?
Definitely looking forward to it. The Cup program at MWR has come so far this year. I mean, those cars are so strong, and our cars being in the same shop as theirs with Diamond Waltrip Racing, that just trickles down. All that knowledge that those guys are learning. It's a little bit different with the bump stops, but the rears of the car, the front clip, it's kind of close. We can do a little bit similar things, and that's just going to help us, and our program is really strong. We got great-looking new cars. Those guys work their butts off to have us a lineup of cars in there, and I think we got as many as anybody, which really helps.
Trevor Bayne, thanks so much for spending time with us here tonight, and best of luck in getting your first win the rest of the season as well in the point standings.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on here.